Oh, yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I'm your host, Saheem the Dream.
With your boy J Mac means.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about WWE Extreme Rules 2022. If you guys are catching us live here on a Wrestling Talks and Thoughts podcast, please drop a comment in the comment section below. If you guys are catching this after the podcast, drop a comment in the comment section below. We want to know what you guys thought about the whole pay-per-view. If you guys are catching us live as well, you guys can join us on the Wrestling Talks and Thoughts uh, Facebook page, the Facebook group, and also subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up, like, check out our videos, and join us every time we go live. And also, when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time we post a podcast that will be coming up, you'll get a notification and you can click notify me when we go live so that you can join us as we go live. Extreme Rules 2022. Could we expect, or did we expect, a bad show? Orchestrated by the GOAT himself.
You know what's funny? As I'm watching Extreme Rules and I'm looking at the card, I think this might be the first pay-per-view that we had no bloodline member, we had no tag matches. There was not one. The only title matches were the women's title matches. All the male singles titles was not up for grabs. So
Yeah.
I mean that's the first, and then it's still being a great show.
Yeah.
I mean I do feel I didn't the finish with in the fight pit could have been better because it was one of those. Wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
That finish, the Ronda Rousey finish.
You said you didn't like the Ronda Rousey Liv Morgan finish?
Yeah, it was because it didn't go smooth. You know, it was just like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, I definitely can agree that it definitely didn't have a clear, like it wasn't smooth, as in you seeing like the end result, like she was like getting choked out between the tables and stuff, and I felt like that kind of should have been done in the middle of the ring, whereas everybody can view the actual result of her tapping out to her being choked out in that submission move. Overall, I thought it was a great pay-per-view. I was very much I was very into it. It kept my attention. Um the match I least liked, I would say, was definitely the Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan match. However, it didn't disappoint. It was actually pretty good. It was actually better than what I thought it would be, truth be told. But I'm just happy that the belt is off Liv Morgan. There's some moments I forget that she actually had the belt. She lived her childhood dream already. I think her childhood dream is up. I think it's long gone. I think it's time for her to move on, and and have somebody else hold the belt. Liv Morgan, I think she did a decent job as far as being a women's champion for the first run. Ant-Man says he's got the whole world in his hands. He is happy for Bray Wyatt's return. We're gonna get into that. I know you guys, if you guys are checking it out, you guys probably know Bray Wyatt has returned. More than likely, a lot of the independent, like wrestling news outlets got the internet going nuts. I know Twitter's on fire right now by Bray Wyatt's return. Ant-Man says that was the worst moment of the night. You talking about Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan? Liv Morgan losing the belt. Ronda again. She turned into the new Charlotte. I mean, the thing about it is I think that Ronda Rousey just needed a better run with the belt, or she needs somebody who can market her better. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at Sheamus right now, and you look at how Sheamus is getting over with the crowd, Sheamus under Vince McMahon would have never got over the crowd that way. And it speaks volumes of Triple H's mentoring and his his production quality, as far as how he could just take certain superstars and make them big or make them pop the way that they need to pop in front of the crowd. and Sheamus, under Vince McMahon's, tutelage, like it wasn't, it was like, Sheamus came off very flat. But how Sheamus is being utilized in his feud with Gunther, how Sheamus was being utilized in his feud with Drew McIntyre, you got to really see, that potential that Sean always advocates for about how much he loves Sheamus. You know what I'm saying? So you get to see something different. Which match was horrible? Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan, and he says Ronda botched Rousey. Ronda, or does he call her Ronda botched Rousey? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the match was good. The match was good. It wasn't. I don't think it was bad. He said I missed the first match. Who won that match? That was
the Brawling and
the
Brawling. That was a great match.
Yeah, it was a great match. The Brawling Brutes won that match. They won. They pulled that off. But I mean, it made sense because Gunther held on to his Intercontinental title. So of course, they're gonna allow Sheamus to get that victory because he's hot right now. You know what I'm saying? Like they building him hot. But again, and it's like, NXT, right? In NXT, when you had superstars that would come in and they were new, you know what I mean? Like it was a way that they developed that superstar to get over a certain way, and they would get over. You know what I'm saying? Because they booked them properly. And it goes to show you, it's like we get to see the difference of how booking can change. You know what I'm saying? Like we already knew the difference, prior to Vince McMahon's poor booking decisions later on, in a late part of his career. And then we also knew the difference between watching different promotions and stuff and how great booking can be done. But just seeing the stark contrast of Vince McMahon's later days and his poor booking decisions to now Vince McMahon leaving and having, someone else take over in creative, and they making better booking decisions, how the show just like elevated, like leaps above where it was before. He says the botchiest woman on the planet. Yeah, she's gotten better. She gotten better. She's a little sloppy. He says Sheamus finally is hot. I knew Keys is like, he told us so. The Sheamus is still trash. I mean, but he's good though. I mean, he's good. He's being booked properly. You know what I'm saying? He's being booked properly. Doesn't mean I'm cheering for Sheamus, but he's good right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he's being booked. He's getting booked right. But again, it goes to show you, like, you can make a superstar. You can book them as long as you book them properly. You know what I'm saying? They'll get over right. But again, we still see the difference between those who have charisma and those who lack charisma. And those who have the greatest charisma will always be the ones who will definitely be the standout. You know what I mean? So, getting into the pay-per-view, man. What was your match of the night?
You can go through the card again. Honestly, I really liked the 6-man tag that started off.
Mm-hmm.
Riddle and Seth was okay. Yeah, I think the 6-man tag that really like stole the show for me. I mean, and I'm watching it as I watch Imperium, how they dominated the beginning. I said, yeah, they're gonna lose. I'm like, but Gunther's not gonna take the fall. Somebody else is gonna take the fall, but the Brawler Brutes is definitely gonna win this match. But yeah, I think that was the match. Bianca and Bayley, now, and then the Finn Balor and Edge, that was predictable.
Yeah, it was quite predictable. But I predicted that Edge. I predicted that Finn would win, but I was hoping that it was more so of a Finn Balor. I was hoping that the Finn Balor match would be more like a Triple H and Mick Foley match, where it was just a fair fight, and he legitimately lost. But apparently that wasn't the case.
Right. Once I saw Rhea get physical, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, you know what I'm saying. But then once Rhea hit her in the back with the brass knuckles, I'm like, all right, they're gonna try to get Edge to quit. He's not gonna quit. They're gonna go after Beth, and then he's gonna. Now, what I thought they were gonna do, I thought how when Dominic and and Damian Priest was holding Edge arms and legs, and Finn Balor hit him with like 8 coup de grace. I thought it was gonna be like I thought it was gonna hold back arms and legs, and Finn's gonna be on the top, and then Edge was gonna quit. But then when I saw the chair, I'm like, okay, she's gonna fake a chair toe, and then Edge is gonna quit to save his wife, and she still got it anyway.
Yeah. And real quick before I get to that, Ant says he's going to take the IC title. He thinks Sheamus is going to take the IC title for Gunter. I don't think so. They're gonna keep the belt on him for a while. Finn versus Edge was the match of the night. That was my match of the night. I didn't want to say it, but to me, it's between Edge. Where honestly, it's between Finn and Edge. No, I think it's between Finn and Edge, Riddle and Seth. For me, the energy in the crowd was really into it. Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, the Philly crowd was really hype. Finn is about to get the crazy push. Yeah, there's some actual rumors about Finn actually getting a big push. They was talking about that. I was reading an article maybe like a week ago. They were talking about how Finn Balor is being positioned to get a big push, and then when that Monday Night Raw happened, and Edge challenged him to I Quit match, I was like, oh yeah, they're serious about it. They're gonna really start pushing Finn Balor, because I think what's going to happen is that Triple H is going to really redeem what happened with Finn Balor and him not getting the that Universal title run that he should have gotten. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're going to redeem it, but I think they're going to wind up splitting up the titles anyway instead of having two champions.
I mean, they need to, because USA is upset because they don't have, any champ. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a world champion or tag champs because the Usos is SmackDown. They got both belts. They kind of roll from time to time, but they're weekly. So the main title on Raw is the US title and Bianca's belt. So yes, I do feel that they're going to split them at some point. I guess they're trying to figure out how they're going to split them without Roman losing. Maybe a triple threat match, I'm thinking. So, I mean, that would be cliche, but yeah. But I think I was reading the same article. But at the same time, Triple H, Finn is one of Triple H's sons, from NXT. So, he's definitely going to, he definitely sees things that unfortunately Vince didn't see.
Right.
So he's definitely going to be like, all right, let me show Vince what he should, or how he should have been booked, or let me show Vince he can trust in, certain guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely evident that that Vince McMahon was damn near blind to most of the talent on that damn roster. Like, this guy, like, he's seen what he wanted to see. Ant said, your boy just made an appearance like the white rabbit, laugh out loud, or the white cat. He says your cat like Puff Daddy right now, all up in the videos dancing. Yeah, every time I'm at this desk, man, like she's very possessive of this leather chair, so she likes to sleep in it sometimes. So every time I come to this desk to do whatever I'm doing, any of my creative stuff, she comes and jumps on it and just wants to wander around and see why I'm here doing it. Cats. But yeah, man. Vince McMahon was definitely blind to most of the talent on the roster. When that was his major issue, and Finn Balor was definitely one of Vince McMahon's sons. But we know that Vince McMahon wasn't utilizing his talents properly. Like a lot of the talents, I think he was sabotaging because he didn't know when to quit. Vince McMahon is past his prime. Vince McMahon time was up as far as creative is concerned. I feel like Vince McMahon can contribute some creative ideas as to point out certain things that we may not see that can, add some great element to the show. But I think as far as I think, just seeing his later days, especially like during John Cena, like I felt like during his later days, like after John Cena won the belt and Vince and Austin left and The Rock left and and Triple H, was like, fading out of the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of his creativity just like went out the window. It was like if you weren't somebody who was a top guy or primed to be like, like a world champ, you weren't really priority to him. Like the Intercontinental title was flip flopping all over the place. The U.S. title was flip flopping. You barely had champions that had lengthy reigns that would hold the. You had some champions that hold it for like 100 days, and then like once it went up to like 130 days, the title get passed on to somebody who held the belt for 30 days, 20 days, and it'll flip flop around, and you get one lengthy reign that will last like 100 or something days, and we can see now, like even with Bobby and how Bobby is being built and how Gunther's being treated, like what they're gonna do is they're gonna continue the prestige. Like when we watch NXT, that's what happened with Cole. Like Cole held the belt for a long time. Pac, Finn Balor. Who's another person who had a lengthy reign? Cole, Pac, Finn Balor. Cole, Pac, Finn Balor. Who else had a lengthy reign? Tommaso Ciampa. He had a lengthy reign.
The Undisputed Era.
Yeah. You had Asuka who had a lengthy reign. You had Shayna Baszler who had a lengthy reign. Whatchamacallit, Io Shirai had a lengthy reign. You see Mandy Rose is getting a lengthy reign. Like he's legitimizing champions. It's like, all right, we put the belt on this person and we say this person's a champion, we're gonna make this person look like a champion. We're not gonna sit here and just be like, all right, this guy's we're gonna put the belt on the person and then they're gonna hold it for like 3-4 months and then titles getting taken off of them. Does it really make them look like a serious competitor? It's like, why are we investing time in tuning in to watch this person as a champion? Because they're supposed to be an attraction. So give them the opportunity to build that star power. And him flip-flopping with the titles, really show that. And said Vince at home losing his mind, pulling whatever hair he got left out. Kevin Owens was another one, right? I know I was forgetting somebody. Kevin Owens had a lengthy reign with the NXT title, right? So, that's the thing. So it's like with how the show is going right now, especially with Extreme Rules, like the way the whole show is being built, and just with Raw and SmackDown and just how the show went tonight, I thought it was really it's a great show.
Yeah, and the crazy part about it, touching base on what you're saying about Vince time being up and him like kind of being out of touch and out of tune. I was reading from one of the groups, I forgot what it was, and what they said, it was funny, but it made sense, and it was actually something true.
Okay.
So they were saying how Legado del Fantasma, in the NXT, build a name, do what they had to do, come to the main roster. Vince would have been like, okay, I like him. Gotta change the name though. So he had him being some goofy Mexicans or some goofy lucha house party guys and just coming in, give somebody a lawnmower and some overalls with a straw. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you change that whole image. And I'm like, now it's interesting to see that Elektra Lopez isn't with them. So I don't know if she's gonna stay in NXT or Triple H is gonna bring her to the main roster as a singles competitor to to kind of to have her do her own thing. But that's the interesting part I want to see. But the crazy part about it was the fact that they came out and attacked Hit Row, which is crazy because especially Ant would know. I mean, for the guys who watch NXT, they had they that was a feud that was going on in NXT. So to bring that to the main roster, I mean, obviously Swerve's not part of it, but bring that to the main roster and have them feud. That's kind of dope. And outside of that, I know that was my train of thought. It'll come back to me, but yeah, like that's that. Oh, and then Max Dupree, changed the name going back to LA Knight.
Right.
And he's gonna beat the brakes off Mansoir, how you say his name.
Yeah, like I had a feeling because like we was talking about this, like I think it was like the last show. We told the last podcast, we talking about this, and I was just mentioning that I was like, the season premiere is coming up, and we're gonna see. I had a feeling that we were gonna see Triple H really start to form SmackDown and Raw in an image in which he feels like it should be done, and we're gonna see how dramatic changes may be. And I was saying like either the changes are going to be dramatic during the season premiere, or after WrestleMania. But I definitely still feel like after WrestleMania, we're going to see like like right now, we still see a stark contrast. Like it doesn't feel like the same Raw or same SmackDown we've watched last year. Like we're definitely seeing a big change. But we're definitely going to see a major change after WrestleMania, if not just the consistency of what we see. Ant says the King NXT title runs really died down after Balor and Joe. Like it went down from Nakamura to Drew to Andrade to Aleister Black in like 14 months. Yeah. But now with Triple H being at the helm, as creative, I think we're gonna see more lengthier title runs. Like I think we're gonna still have like 6 month, 4 month, 5 month, 8 month title runs because I think some of those kind of title runs need to be done with certain superstars. I think certain superstars we still need to have some superstars who don't have lengthy runs. Like I feel like Seth Rollins is not a person I want to see with the belt for over a year. Like he's a person I would mind seeing hold the belt for like 8 months, 9 months, and then pass off the belt to somebody else, and then win the belt back, later next year, something like that. You know what I mean? But I think we're gonna see like another lengthy run. Like we're gonna get somebody else who's gonna hold the belt for like 8 months, 9 months, and then pass the belt off, and then they hold the belt for 4 months, 5 months, maybe a year, and then pass the belt off. But I don't, I think after Roman, I think we'll get another lengthy run, but it may be a little bit a while after Roman because they still want to, we want to still see some kind of drama surrounding the heavyweight titles.
Right.
So but yeah, Finn
Yeah.
Balor, yeah, what you gonna say?
I said that, and touch base on what Ant was saying, how it went from, Andrade to Drew to Nakamura and things like that. That's because, that's when NXT had a high turnover rate with, I have being pushed to the main roster. So, when Triple H give the guy the belt to give him a little shine, give him that spotlight so people can know when they go to the main roster. Okay, well, he was the former NXT champ, he's getting shine and stuff like that. So that's why I feel like later, like after Finn and Joe, that's why they had short title reigns because shortly after that they'll have had a belt for maybe 2-3 months or so. Lose it at the next at takeover, has a rematch the following takeover, lose, and then they'll go to the main roster.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because it was like after those guys had those title runs, like they were just called up immediately.
Right.
Even with Pac, it was like I didn't even know Pac had that long title run until after I started looking into like the NXT titles,
Yeah.
and because I wasn't really watching NXT like that. I seen him on the main roster, didn't know too much about him until the main roster, and then when I started going back and looking at NXT former champions and seeing how long their title runs were, I began to see like how long Pac had the belt. And I was like, oh, he had the belt for like he was like the first longest reigning NXT champion. And then Finn Balor came along and then he broke that reign. And then after that, Adam Cole came along and broke that reign. So that's definitely true. But they were all being called like even after Keith Lee won heavyweight titles, like the heavyweight title, like he won his first heavyweight title, held the belt for like was it even a month?
It might have been a month. If no, I think Cross challenged him at the following pay-per-view, and then that was it.
Yeah. Ant-Man said, he said, yeah, and with him in charge of creative, I see more factions too. Also, yeah, actually, we see facts. We definitely see more factions. We got Judgment Day, we got El Fantasmo, and I said Fantasmo. Delgado,
The
yeah,
guy Del Fantasma.
right there you go. That guy. You see him in his faction. You see the table. But it makes sense. You know why? Because when you have an overcrowded roster, you need somewhere to put them. And it makes sense for those factions to be built because now it still gives them camera time, but with somebody at the helm that can mentor or lead the group until they begin to find places for those other characters that's in the group to work. Also, what Ann said? Ann said, yeah, Neville was one of the longest reigning NXT champions. He also says, so did Bo Dallas. And he says, but nobody remembers Bo Dallas' reign. Nobody remembers Bo Dallas' reign. Yeah, Bo Dallas did have a lengthy reign, but nobody remembers. I don't. I'm around. I remember seeing it, and I remember when he came to the main roster and how he was being cheered. But of course, way he was utilized in NXT versus how he was used with Vince McMahon was like, not the same. But yeah. But let's talk about the Finn Balor match. When you mentioned the Finn Balor match, Finn Balor versus Edge, to me, I was really excited to see that match because I was hoping that Finn Balor won, made Edge quit, and that would be a boost for Finn Balor's character, and not just his character, but also a boost for Judgment Day because Judgment Day is really hot right now. Judgment Day is being booked. They're being booked properly. They're being utilized very well. And I like how they're being used. I really like how they're really being used. And it makes sense. They're not, when they were with Vince, when Vince was using them, it was like here or there, like Finn Balor losing matches, what you call it, Damian Priest losing matches, like the way they were losing. I was just like, I don't like the way they're being booked. But now the way they're being booked, they're being booked as being a legitimate threat, like they're being taken seriously. And I think we're going to see how legitimate they are when they begin to put their eyes on heavyweight gold or titles.
Now, one thing I didn't like was how, speaking of factions, how Damage Control looks sweet. You could, because EO and Dakota comes out, they attack Bianca, and again they're supposed to be, the women's faction, but then Bianca hits him with the double KOD, and then now for the rest of the match, like that really took them out. So they disappeared for the rest of the match. Like that was kind of weak. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bianca taking out three women by herself. Like, I mean, I get it, but yeah, I mean, you gotta be a little bit more realistic. Like now, if somebody would have came to help her, you know what I'm saying, then took EO and Dakota out of, like, that makes sense. But you know what I'm saying? But Bianca taking them out by herself and still being, I was just like, all right, that's kind of extra.
Well, I mean, she had. I mean, we have to, like. I feel like Damage Control is not even really like. I mean, well, they have the tag titles, right? They have some gold, and it makes sense for them to have some gold. But I think the reason being is because, and I understand exactly what you're saying, because they're faction. So the more numbers, the better chances you have in winning. Before I get, you have a better chance. I'm gonna finish the story and then get to the comment section. But it's just that, like, but Bianca, but if that was the case in that scenario, Bianca would have lost. Like, she would have lost. So we had to, like, it had to be some kind of, overcoming the odds factor with Bianca coming out on top, because Bianca's supposed to be like this great, great, great athlete. So they had to show that, you know. But are you like a Damage Control fan?
I mean, I like being an NXT guy. I like Dakota and EO. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what I'm hoping that's being done is, I mean, and I guess we'll see Monday night. Where the season premiere. Sasha and Naomi possibly come back to help out Bianca. To have her back. Because Damage Control is definitely gonna attack Bianca or try to get some payback. And with it being the season premiere, they gotta have surprises and things like that. So I think I think that's why I'm kind of big on wanting Damage Control to kind of not really dominate, but to kind of get the upper hand. So therefore, it has a reason to bring Sasha and Naomi, or have Bianca have some legitimate help, because we saw on Monday, Asuka and Alexa was hurt. They kind of took them two out. So
you really think Sasha and Naomi's coming back?
I'm sorry, she think I was talking to her.
Alexa.
I mean, I think at some point they are. Then again, I don't know. Like, they're having fun right now. They're doing things outside of WWE. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're enjoying their time. Because as everybody stated, the WWE schedule is hectic, it's rigorous. So a lot of them are like, you know what, I'm enjoying my time where I'm not, on the road all the time, and I'm not, confined to the schedule.
Yeah. Ant-Man says, imagine if Edge he said, imagine Edge versus Finn back in Edge's prime. I mean, tonight's match was good, but back in Edge's prime, sheesh. He says, I like how they added Beth Phoenix to the mix. I do. Um, he says, he says, so I'm amusing Beth. I'm amusing. I'm sorry, amusing. So I'm assuming Beth, Edge, Ray, and Styles against Judgment Day at Survivor Series. I like that. That makes sense. And Finn and Rhea versus Edge and Beth at Crown Jewel, possibly.
I can see that.
I could definitely see that. Um, and the funny thing about it is, like when I watched the match, I was hoping that it would just be a legitimate one-on-one, and then Finn Balor, just does whatever or finds a way to, just torment or torture Edge to make him quit. And then when Judgment Day got involved, I was like, all right, this makes sense. I was like, I get it. Because I already know what they're gonna do. What's gonna happen is that it's gonna be two things. Either Finn Balor is gonna find some way to torture Edge, you know, with kendo sticks or whatever, and he used the coup de grace to torture him. And then it's like if that doesn't get him, then more than likely it's gonna be Beth Phoenix. And it made sense because once they started getting involved and Beth Phoenix got involved, I was like, all right, this makes sense. Because at first, when they handcuffed him to the ropes, I'm like, all right, so he's just gonna beat him with the kendo sticks to make him quit. And then Beth Phoenix got involved and everything. So it was like, all right, this makes sense why. But I still think it's like Edge is really at the end of his career. Like he's 46 right now, going on 50. And he's really at the edge, he's really at the end of his career. So and it didn't make sense for him to win in the first place. I definitely didn't want to see Edge win, truth be told. It didn't make sense for him to win. It definitely made sense for Finn Balor to go over. Um, but I definitely enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a great ending. I enjoyed it all the way through. Um, let's get to the obvious. We're already 30 minutes into the show. Let's get to the obvious. Bray Wyatt has returned. So the mystery has been unraveled. All the days of seeing these strange QR codes. And again, like I said, we was in a group. I said Triple H is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. He is absolutely the GOAT. On SmackDown, if you guys didn't peep it, when he was talking, when he came out and he was, doing the introduction for SmackDown, you know, intentionally he was talking with the mic like this, and then he flips the mic around with the QR code in the back of it, and then says yada 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 because he wanted you to pause, you know, pause the show on your DVR, get that QR code and go and follow the clues. And just the build up to Bray's return was just great. It was just great, with the interruptions and small little glitches during the show. Like, what is this? The red light, we see like a big red light, everything turns red in the show during the show. Like we getting these hiccups, these malfunctions, like what's going on, what's happening. So, it was it was the return of Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt return. Very long intro though. That was a long, long introduction.
Yeah, because again, as a watching it, I'm like, all right, since I thought, she was gonna interrupt the match. Like before we was talking before the show started, like I'm like, all right, he's gonna. In my mind, I'm at each match, well, especially the last two matches. I'm like, all right, he's gonna come. He's going to enter. He's gonna basically help Finn Balor win. But I'm like, then when I see Judgment Day, I'm like, no, I don't see him doing that. And then during Edge and Riddle, Riddle and Seth, I'm like, okay, well, Seth is about to move on. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's going to feud with Riddle. But then after the match, I see, Riddle goes out the ring and Seth is out. I'm like, okay, so he's not going to. Then they show a little graphic. And I'm like, so wait a minute. So what the hell is this Black Bunny? The lights go out, crowd go crazy. And Michael Cole, are we still in the air? Are you still here? I'm like, come on, Michael Cole. We know, we still there. Like,
yeah, we're still in the air. Cole.
Yes, so
you don't get fired.
Right. So, but like I said, like you said, it was an extra long intro. Like when we heard him saying he got the whole world, we knew what it was. But it's like after 10 minutes, they'll show one guy there, 10 minute intro, another guy, another thing there, 10 minutes. Then they had a little video skit, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is long. I'm like, yo, the show is over. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
like,
quite sure Peacock is going to like, charge them some extra bread. Like, all right, you guys went, 30 minutes over your actual showtime. Like, you know. Um, real quick, it says he got the whole world in his hands singing the Bray Wyatt song. Greatest build up greatest build up better. He says that intro was fire though. No, it was dope. Um the thing about it was long. The only reason why it was long, I wasn't and think to me, honestly, I wasn't really bothered by how long the intro was. I was only bothered by how long the intro was because I was concerned about how much time they actually had on air to actually finish the whole intro. He says, I'm not going to lie. When I seen the credits, I was a little upset. I'm like, if not tonight, then when? Then them lights went off and Cole was like, are we still on the air? And he says, the way he walked through the door though was fire. It
which
was
is
dope, man.
which is
It
true.
was good to see. It was good. What you gonna say?
I said, which is true, and I was literally talking to a couple of my friends from Mexico because one of my homeboys, Sway, he's been on the show a couple times.
Mhm.
He missed it because he said that when he saw after the Riddle and Seth match, he saw the graphic he turned it off, and I'm like, one, they've been,
What?
yeah, I don't know why he did it, but I'm like, one, they've been advertising this rabbit, for so long, and then on SmackDown they said numerous times, 10/8/22 Extreme
Huh.
Rules. Some shit. So okay, we're gonna see the reveal for this rabbit one.
Right.
And then what really then I, what kind of made me not really pay attention to that graphic anymore was when NXT Takeover, when Champion Gargano was standing at the top of the ramp. They
Mhm.
lost to I think it was AOP or they either lost to AOP or FTR. I forgot which one they lost to, but they were on the top of the ramp. It's sad, giving the crowd, waving by, whatever. Graphic came on, and then Ciampa looked at Gargano and threw him against go through him against the little board, and then Ciampa beat the brakes off him. So I'm like, ever since then, I don't pay
Mhm.
attention to that graphic. Now
Yeah.
once the lights go off and Peacock has a little thank you for watching, that's when I know it's officially over. But anything before that, I don't really pay attention to it.
Right. Ant was like, I'm feeling the new mask though. Ant says, at first I'm like, please don't be Joey Gavy. Who's that?
Joe Gacy
Joe Gacy.
from NXT,
Ant says, at first I'm like, please don't. All right. He says it again. Joe Gacy. Revival. He lost to the revival.
right?
Yeah, like when I seen the graphic, I never pay attention to the graphic. I'll wait till that whole thing goes off. I always do because again, like even when Brock returned, like it was like, oh, I heard news about a new superstar, like a former superstar returning, and it was one of those times that Brock returned. I was hoping it wasn't Brock, but it was Brock, and and you know that was my surprise. But anyway, the graphics showed up. I think this is when Brock returned to challenge Roman the last time, and the show was going off, and the pay per view was going off, and then all of a sudden Brock Lesnar just shows up, and I'm like, boom, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't pay attention to that. But Josue missed the whole thing.
Yeah, and he said literally after the Edge and Riddle, Seth and Riddle, he said he turned it off. I said, nah, they were advertising, this rabbit for a while, and then like once they confirmed that he was going to be the reveal was going to be at Extreme Rules, I knew like, yo, like Ian said, I kind of got upset, like, yo, how they advertising this rabbit and nothing happened.
Mhm.
So, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. Something's gonna happen. And when lights go on, I'm like, I paid. Here we go. But yeah, but like I said, I know they have false advertisement or cards are subject to change, but when it came to something like this, I'm like, yeah, no, they're definitely gonna go through with it because they've been advertising it for so long. So
Yeah. Well, Ant says he says I'm glad it was the old. He said I'm glad it was the original Bray Wyatt. He had the meat apron on like he was cutting up bodies. Yeah, facts. Yeah. So I guess Josue is gonna have to go to YouTube and
yeah,
watch. Watch
yeah.
what happened.
My boy Rashad actually sent him the link on YouTube. Literally 30 minutes ago. So it's crazy that the whole interest is on YouTube already. But yeah, what I do like about it is they kind of like scrambled all his gimmick or the Fiend gimmick, and then kind of reverted him back, like Ann said, back to the Eater of Worlds. Um, but yeah, and yeah, I can definitely see, like Ann said, I can definitely see Bo Dallas coming back, and you know what I'm saying, to be a part of, you know what I'm saying, to join them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I like how every time he comes back, it's not the same person. You know what I'm saying? It's something different, somebody different. So
Oh yeah. No facts. Ann says, I hope they give him a faction. Just add Loomis, Redbeard, and Bo Dallas. Ann says Raw tomorrow night is going to be crazy. Raw tomorrow night is going to sound like WrestleMania.
we got one more night, and it's Saturday. we got one more night. Yeah, we so used to pay-per-views being on Sunday, but yeah, unfortunately we have one more night.
Yeah, we got one more night. Yeah, but Raw is going to sound like a night. It's going to sound like after WrestleMania, man. Like, and the thing about it is not necessarily. And the funny thing about it is not just because of Bray Wyatt return, right? It's just the builds, like just how the show has just been ran for the last month, like the last 2 months, like how just the consistency of good programming, and then the surprise, and then it's like not just surprises, but just surprises that we want, like Gargano coming back, Bray Wyatt returning. You know what I mean?
And a good thing about the way he came back is he's not set to any show. He's, you know what I'm saying, he's
Right.
back. So they didn't really have him attack anybody or do anything. So we don't know if he's gonna be on Raw or SmackDown. So
Right. And I know a lot of you fans, if you guys are watching, you guys can drop a comment section below. Let us know what you guys think about Extreme Rules, how you guys felt about the pay-per-view, Bray Wyatt's return. Bray Wyatt did return. If you guys didn't catch Extreme Rules, Bray Wyatt has come back. If you guys have not seen on Twitter, have not seen on Facebook, have not seen on any news outlets, just to let you guys know, Bray Wyatt has returned has returned tonight. And let us know what you thought about the whole pay-per-view. Let us know what you thought about Finn Balor versus Edge. Let us know what you thought about Bianca Belair versus Bayley. Any of the matches, which match was your favorite? Which match did you like? Which match you didn't like? Drop a comment in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also subscribe to the Wrestling Toast and Thoughts Facebook page as well. We would love to hear from you guys. We would like to know what you guys think about the pay-per-view, and as well as everything else that's going on in WWE. Yeah, man. I am. The thing about it is I just to talk about what Ant mentioned about the faction. About Bray Wyatt getting a faction. We do have a lot of factions, and I don't want it to be too many factions, right? I think the factions work only when it's everybody coming together to for one common cause, whether that common cause be to preserve, like for instance, the table. Roman Reigns built the table to preserve his championship reign. Using the Usos as an insurance policy. Um, and also, you have Imperium, being formed, to ensure Gunther's intercontinental reign. You have the Boiling Brutes because they came together and built a faction. But it's just like, I just don't want there to just be factions, just to be factions. You know what I'm saying? Like they just together, just to be together. And then there's no accomplishment of anybody getting gold, and that gold is not being preserved. Now, I'm expecting Gunther to hold on to that belt for a very long time, whether it be, 8 months, 9 months, a year, whatever. But I'm expecting him to hold on to the belt for a long length of time because of the faction. Also, Ant says Candice LeRae, Karrion Kross, Dakota Kai, EO, right? Those guys, Loomis, Ciampa. Well, Ciampa was already there. Ciampa was there. He didn't have to return. He was already on the main roster before Vince left.
I'm kind of hoping that, like, being what's going on with the Miz, I'm hoping that this is branching them away from each other so Ciampa can do his own thing with, like, he's supposed to be doing, and that one of Miz's lackeys. Like,
Well, the funny thing is that Ciampa hasn't been seen with the Miz in like the last 2 weeks, I think.
yeah, 2, 3, yeah. Ever since when Loomis came through the ring, yeah, that was the last time we saw them together, which is good because, like I said, I don't like Ciampa with Miz. The Ciampa should be doing his own thing. You know what I'm saying? Because he can. He's wasting talent being held underneath, the Miz, just walking around with him and with these bright colors. Just
Right. I think they should. I think they should put DIY back together. It would work at this point in time because, huh?
of course it would. I mean, to see them against the Usos, that'll be WrestleMania quality.
Yeah.
I mean, because they don't really right now WWE don't really have tag teams that the Usos hasn't either wrestled or beat. You know what I'm saying? Like for at one point of the Street Profits, we had that feud already. So if you look at up and down the roster, because I mean, okay, they fight Hit Row. That's not gonna be it's not gonna be entertaining to me. If they fight, they're not gonna fight Legato. They fought the Brawling Brutes. Um, and outside of that, that's the only tag team that they really have. Um, so now Ali
Hmm.
definitely could have had a great match with
Bobby.
Bobby on Monday, last
Yeah.
Monday.
Great storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. So
Great storytelling.
so yeah, so like I said, so the DIY back together, I can definitely see that. That makes sense. Um, yeah. So I mean, like I said, because we didn't see them fight the New Day numerous times. We didn't like I said, we didn't see them fight the Street Profits. So yeah, they definitely need fresh new faces.
Yeah. No, they do. Um, Ant says, I hope he brings back Jonah. He also says, I'm calling it now. If Tony Khan doesn't start booking FTR, they're coming back to WWE. Uh, they got some unfinished business in WWE. That's facts. That's
Yeah,
facts. Roman's days are numbered now that Bray is back. That's true. Roman is not beating Bray. Here's the thing. I heard rumors that Cody was not booked to be champion.
yeah,
There were no plans to make him WWE champion. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. The question is that and it'll definitely be better for business if again they split the titles up, put them on separate shows, more opportunity, um, more opportunity. And the thing about it is like Roman and the Usos probably need some time off. I think if anything, Roman's going to lose the belt at Mania. It makes more sense for him to lose it on a big stage to build a big superstar for somebody they can bank on. To now carry on the belt and however they do it. Because again, if Roman's being built so strong, and something you mentioned, Jay, which is very interesting, was a very interesting idea, is that it may be a triple threat match. It may be a triple threat match for both titles, and whoever can get a pinfall can get like a pinfall for each title. You know, the WWE Heavyweight Championship and the Universal title, so that way you can split it up. Or what they may do is have Roman, go against somebody one on one, and then whoever beats him, they just walk away with one title, and he holds on to the Universal title and just carries it on for I guess X amount of time, maybe to like SummerSlam or whatever big show, and then have him lose the belt to whoever else he feuds with after WrestleMania, which would make more sense to me. Either way, but Roman had the belt, damn near 3 years because WrestleMania will make it like 3 years, pretty much. That'll be 2023. He had won the belt in 2019, so it's damn near that's 2023. He's touching 3 years right now. He had the belt for 3 years. That's like the longest modern day run we'd had since CM Punk. Um, but yeah, I think what they should definitely do is but yeah, I definitely think that Roman's days are numbered because there's a lot of people that Triple H is looking at like, all right, I would love to see these guys feud. I would love to see these guys feud over heavyweight championship gold. I would love to see these guys feud over heavyweight championship gold. We have a great show that we can book, and he has a lot of great talent, like that he can use in a heavyweight title picture. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. Uh, I don't think you know what this is my thing. I don't think Karrion Kross is ready for heavyweight title picture. As a matter of fact, that was my least favorite match, really, of the night.
Yeah.
With Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. When I watched the match, I was just kind of like, I was like, I'm like Karrion Kross, he's good, but he ain't ready for heavyweight. He ain't ready for the heavyweight title picture yet. In the Continental United States, maybe, you know what I'm saying, but he still needs to kind of like get his groove to where, there's something to really all over him about. Karrion Kross has a good look. Um, and I felt that way about him in NXT. Like, but I still think that he still needs work. Ant says he's looking Theory, Finn, Owens, Bray, Cody, Braun, and Cross. He said Ant says Cross been ready. I don't think so. I don't think Ant. You thought that McIntyre and Cross match was a good match? I mean, not it was a dope match, like compared to like Seth and Riddle, or Finn and Edge, or even the Brawling Brutes, or even like Gunther versus Sheamus. Now, I'm not a big Sheamus fan at all, but I thought that their feud was pretty good, like even over the Intercontinental title. Like that was for the Intercontinental title. These guys are putting on like great matches. So, Karrion Kross, for him to make his, like, I feel like, Karrion Kross needs some time. Like he still needs some time. Like it's just like when I was watching his match against Bray, I mean, I'm sorry, but Drew, I was just kind of like, I was not impressed yet. I was still like, even when he fought against Finn, like it was a good match, but I still was still just looking at him like yeah, he's good, but I'm just like, for me to sit there and look at him and say, all right, I understand why he has a title, is just, I'm still kind of in between. Like when Adam Cole won an NXT title and he had the title, and when I seen his matches, I was like, it made sense. When Adam Cole picked up the mic, it made sense. When Adam Cole came out with Undisputed Era, it made sense. I'm like, I get it. I buy it. I'm sold. With Karrion Kross, I'm not sold yet. I'm sold on his character, but as far as being a heavyweight title contender, I still think he needs maybe like 2 or 3 more years, give or take, until he can actually, Oh man, this is hilarious. I'll post this picture real quick. That's funny. Yeah, that's definitely how Triple H is running things right now, man. And we got Braun Strowman who returned. I forgot about Braun. Braun returned. Like, all these like great people like he has that he can utilize. And it's so crazy. What makes it so good though, is that we are constantly wondering, we will always constantly wonder who will win the Royal Rumble, who's going to win heavyweight gold, who's going to be the next Money in the Bank, because we already know every choice is always going to be a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be a good choice. So it's going to be like, so it's almost like, it's like, yo, it's like, dag, man, it's just like, yo, it's always going to be a good choice. You're always going to kind of be in a place of just waiting to see, who gets those top positions. And it says, it's a storytelling match. I mean, it is a storytelling match, but it doesn't mean that it had to be not as great as it could have been. They're going to have a hard-hitting feud. He says it wasn't a good match, but a story was told during the match. That's true. That's true. I definitely agree. That is true. So we'll see what's gonna happen later on. Because truth of the matter is they have been telling a good story between Drew and Karrion. Karrion choking out Drew at the end of SmackDown. Karrion getting the better of Drew on SmackDown. With the strap. Them now having this match at Extreme Rules and Drew um, losing. So yeah, so I definitely get it. But I'm waiting to see just like the impressiveness of Karrion Cross. Um, he says, "Man, it's just a great time to be a wrestling fan. AEW had the momentum for a while. Now WWE took the torch back and running miles on AEW." He says the Royal Rumble is going to be crazy, especially if Big E comes back. Might be the best one ever. No facts, man. Like the Royal Rumble is going to be crazy, man. The Royal Rumble is going to be crazy. We're going to have a crazy Royal Rumble this year. Crazy Royal Rumble, a crazy WrestleMania. Like, and then just to see who wins the Rumble. And then next year's Money in the Bank, who wins the Money in the Bank? Like, who's going to win it? Like, who's going to walk away? Because we already know, like, whoever they choose is going to be good. Like, it's going to be a good choice. But yeah, it's going to be lit, man. We got this is definitely a good time to be a wrestling fan. I was telling Jay, I was like, yo, we in a new era of wrestling. I was like, right now, I was like, y'all need to we need to all appreciate it for what it is right now, man. Like, this is definitely a new golden era of wrestling, man. Like, this is like when Triple H took over for creative and I began to feel the change. I was like, yo, this feels like wrestling in 1990. Like in 89, 88, 90, 91, the golden era when like Hogan was champion, because at that time you had so many great performers that came out with charisma and they're just putting on a great show. Like that's when Vince was in his prime. And when Vince was in his prime, he was putting on a great show. Like wrestling in the 80s and the early 90s and the 80s and the late 80s was like Vince's like best time as a and in the Attitude Era was like Vince's prime, where Vince was booking great matches and just booking a great show overall. But as far as what I'm seeing, as far as just just a show overall and how they're building the characters, like I feel like it's really really dope. Yeah, and shout out to Seth
Definitely.
Rollins for doing the RVD tribute tonight, bro. Yeah. I was kind of wondering when he came out with the vest on, like the lizard. I was like RVD, but when I looked at the boots and it had Rollins on the side, I was like, okay,
But and
RVD.
he did the
Yeah,
RPD
Seth
thing.
Rollins. Yeah, and he did the drop. Yeah, so that was definitely dope, man. Extreme Rules is definitely dope. Great pay per view. I really enjoyed it. The shows are getting really really good. It's staying consistent. Um, Anything else, Jay, before we sign out?
Nah, that's it.
Yeah, man. But Extreme Rules is a great show. Again, if you guys are catching this live, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you guys are catching the rerun, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you guys thought about WWE Extreme Rules 2022, Bray Wyatt's return, Finn Balor versus Edge, Gunther versus Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes, Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan. Ronda Rousey is now the new women's SmackDown champion. Bianca Belair versus Bailey. Seth Rollins versus Riddle. Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Cross. And says, we all know Cody's going to win the Royal Rumble. I hope so. And I think it's going to be Bray versus Riddle at Mania. That'd be an interesting matchup. You know what's even better though? We will now officially get the Fiend versus the Demon. Can't wait for that. All right, guys. If you guys are catching us live, also make sure you visit our Wrestling Talks and Thoughts page and group and like and follow us. Join the group, post up, have some great conversation with wrestling fans, and make sure you hit the notification bell on the YouTube channel so that way you can be notified every time we go live or every time we drop a video on the Wrestling Talks and Thoughts page. Again, I am signing off. I am your host, Saheem the Dream.
It's your boy, Jay McMean.
And I will see you guys later. Peace.